Isn't it true that when we listen to a musical piece like that, it instantly calms down our minds and de stresses us? That happens to me. So, whenever I listen to music, it has this amazing feature wherein it brushes aside all my worries to the side. Music is more than just a form of art, it is an expression of thoughts, of ideas, of feelings, and moreover, our emotions. Music is a medium that connects people all over the world despite the barrier of a language. Have you ever wondered what exactly is sound or how is it created or something as simple as when did music originate? I know an exact place where we can find answers to all our doubts and learn a lot more about the musical world. Hi, my name is Simran George and I am a part of the City CSMVS Museum on Wheels team. And I'm super excited as I'll take you all along on a virtual walkthrough of the exhibition entitled In Tune, The Journey from Sound to Music. But before we get into the exhibition and see the exhibition, let's learn a little more about the museum.
The Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangralaya, also well known as the CSMVS Museum, is one of the premier art and history museums in India. It is also one of the oldest museums of the country, having a rich collection of over 70,000 objects. This museum was built in order to commemorate the first visit of the Prince of Wales to India. Hence, it was formerly known as the Prince of Wales Museum of Western India. Situated on the southern tip of Mumbai on the Crescent site, the museum was inaugurated to public in the year 1922. The chief architect of the museum was Sir George Albert Whitted, who had also designed the Gateway of India. He had designed the museum building in the Indo-Saracenic style of architecture. Today, this building is listed as a Grade 1 heritage building and has been awarded the 2010 UNESCO Asia Pacific Heritage Award for Cultural Heritage Conservation. It has also been awarded first place for heritage building maintenance by the Indian Heritage Society. The chief aim of the museum is to create awareness and sensitivity towards our rich heritage through a visitor-friendly museum for the purposes of education, study, and enjoyment of the public.
Well, in our super busy lives, it indeed becomes very difficult for us to remove time off our schedule and come and visit a museum, right? Leaving aside our part, the students also today are so busy with their non-stop exams, with extracurricular activities, with tuitions, with studies and whatnot. And also we have to note that in many different parts of India, there aren't many museums in their nearby vicinity. So hence, in order to reach out to many people as possible, in the year 2015, the CSMVS Museum, in partnership with Citibank, came up with a new and unique outreach initiative. It's called as a CSMVS Museum on Wheels. The bus which you see right behind me is the Museum on Wheels bus. It is a first of its kind in Mumbai and by far has been viewed by over 8 lakh visitors in Mumbai and all over the state of Maharashtra and a few districts in Gujarat as well. The project started off with a clear motive in mind, which is to reach out to distant and educate as many as possible and providing information and insights into a wide range of subjects in a fun and interactive manner. Within a short span of time, the bus traveled to the remotest corners of the city and the state and was successful in achieving its goals. The Museum on Wheels has been well received by its visitors and constantly acclaimed for the exhibitions presented, which are based on varied themes. As a result of the success of this initiative, the museum decided on adding another bus to this project. In the year 2020, the Museum on Wheels added another bus to this project, and with both the buses operating, the geographical reach would be extended and many more people would simultaneously gain a lot of benefit and education through them. Apart from conducting visit, the project also conducts seminars and workshops for teachers as well as educators across the city and beyond. In the year 2020, the project also completed 5 years of its successful run. Over the 5 years of its run, these buses have not only educated many but certainly created a very strong bond with its visitors. So finally we are inside the museum on Wheels bus, and as the title of the exhibition goes, In Tune, the journey from sound to music, the exhibition also starts off by explaining the wider phenomena of sound. So what exactly is sound? Everything which you hear around you is called as sound. So it can be the sound of the alarm clock in the morning to the ping of the last message on your phone at night. Some sounds are pleasant, like the sound of a melody which you hear, or of some musical instruments, or even some natural sounds like of the breeze or the wind. Some sounds can be termed as unpleasant, for example, the sound of traffic, or the sound of cars honking, or the sound of some loud music which is played at some place. Yes, so these unpleasant sounds are also termed as noise. For thousands of years, humans have heard different sounds from the nature. It is the sound of the chirping of the birds, the rustling of the leaves of the trees, the winds blowing, the breeze, the river flowing. All of these sounds of nature are very unique and they together form the soundscape of the earth, or the range of the audible sounds which you hear around yourself. The soundscape of the earth is further divided into geophonic, biophonic and anthrophonic sounds. Geophonic sounds. Geophonic sounds are the sounds of nature, such as rivers flowing, the sound of waterfalls, the sound of leaves rustling in the wind, and of the roaring thunder. Biophonic sounds. These are sounds of the animal world other than those produced by humans. For example, the sounds of the birds chirping, insects buzzing, and animals howling. Anthrophonic sounds are the sounds created by humans. Humans observed their environment and drew inspiration from nature to imitate various sounds, ultimately leading to the creation of language and music. But how exactly is sound created? Sound is a form of energy that moves. Sound is created or produced when an object vibrates. In our atmosphere, there are lots of air molecules, and while the object vibrates, it causes these air molecules around it also to vibrate. And then these molecules collide or they hit each other and they transmit the sound further ahead through the medium of air. Just like the dominoes, the air particles also hit each other and the sound waves travel through them. These vibrations travel in the air, forming the pattern of a wave. Hence, they are also well known as sound waves. While speaking, the vocal cords in our mouth will also make vibration and thus sound occurs. Sound always needs a medium to travel. Sound can not only travel through air but through different mediums like air, water, and even solids and even metals in fact. But they cannot travel through empty space. Do you all remember that when we were sitting in the last lecture of our school or of our college, or the lecture after which our break used to start, all of us were eagerly awaiting for the bell to ring? But have you ever wondered how the bell which rung in one corner of the building was heard right through till your classrooms? Well, When the bell is struck, the metal structure vibrates. These vibrations travel through the air in the form of sound waves. When these vibrations reach our ear, they make the delicate skin of our eardrums vibrate. Our brain recognizes these vibrations as sounds created by different things, and hence we hear the sound of the bell ringing. Frequency of sound. The sound an object makes changes depending on how fast it's vibrating. When an object vibrates quickly, high-pitched sounds are created. Low-pitched sounds come from the things that vibrate more slowly. Humans can hear sounds of different pitches, but there are also sounds that cannot be heard. Human ears cannot detect very low-pitched noises known as infrasounds or very high-pitched noises called as ultrasounds. Amplitude of sound is simply the height of the wave. The amplitude of the sound wave determines the sound's loudness. So if the sound wave is higher, then the sound's loudness is also higher. When we are talking about sound, the greater the amplitude, the louder the sound. It also tells us how much energy a wave has. Waves with more energy have higher amplitudes. Resonance in sound. Resonance in sound occurs when a material oscillates or vibrates at a higher amplitude and at a specific frequency. This happens because when the object or the instrument that is vibrating at its natural frequency faces some external forces which force this object or instrument to vibrate at a frequency which is higher than its natural frequency. The best example of resonance can be observed in various musical instruments around us. A very good example to explain the property of resonance can be the sitar.
Like frequency, amplitude and resonance, there is another interesting property of sound which is called as timbre. So every instrument can produce the same musical note, but the quality of sound differs from each instrument. And why is that so? It is because of the material in which the instrument is made. So if you try and hit the wooden xylophone, it would be very different from the sound of the metal xylophone. So this quality of sound is known as timbre. So we just learnt about sound, how it is created and its different properties. When sound is created in a specific manner and in a particular way, and the tone is melodious to ear, so it can be called as a musical sound. Music has been part of the human society right since the Stone Age times, and music as a tool was developed in order to build community relations and for them to work and sustain themselves.
The earliest evidence of musical instruments dates back to the Paleolithic or the Old Stone Age. The bone flute is an intelligently constructed musical instrument made approximately 42,000 to 35,000 years ago. These flutes were skillfully made out of the bones of different animals, and especially the bones of vulture and mammoth. The harp is another ancient string instrument which has been cited in the cave paintings of Bhimbetka. Bhimbetka cave paintings are one of the oldest cave paintings in the world. Archaeologists speculate that the instrument was made out of wood or bamboo and the strings were made out of animals' intestines and later from the plant fiber and metal.
As we move further ahead in the exhibition, it tells us about the different components of music, which can also be learned by these two really cool interactors over here. This one talks about Tal and the other one talks about Shruti.
All sound waves are caused by vibrations, and when those vibrations occur at consistent frequency, that is at a specific speed, we perceive them as musical sounds. A note is a tone of sound that is the building block of all music. All around the world, the musical scale used in all composition consists of 7 major notes, that is Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni. In the Indian musical system, or Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So, La, Ti in the Western musical system. Each of these notes, as they progress, increase in frequency and hence in the pitch of the sound. Rhythm. Rhythm is the most important component, or rather can be called as the backbone of all the music that plays. Rhythm places musical notes in a definite interval of time. It is inherent in the world around us. Our heartbeats and also our breathing patterns all move to a natural beat, right? I am so sure that most of you would have started humming this tune by now. All of you, young or old alike, are very familiar to this tune, right? Often regarded or referred to as the tune, this set of arrangement of the musical notes in a rhythmic pattern is called as a melody in the musical world. Melody is what you can hum or sing, just like the birthday tune which you heard. A skillful crafted melody has the power to stay in your mind for a very long time. Therefore, it is safe to say that melody is the most memorable of all the elements of music. The high and low notes in a melody are called pitches. Harmony. Harmony is one of the last components of music that we'll study today. Harmony is simply two or more musical notes played simultaneously, that is at the same time, together. And these two notes are complementary to each other. The notes played together create a chord which adds depth to the musical composition. A harmony can be played on one instrument, on maybe multiple instruments, or can even be vocalized simultaneously. Harmonies played in music add richness and intensity to the entire composition. Musical instruments are a very vital part of the musical world. Instruments have been a part of the human society right since the Stone Age times, and these instruments have evolved and developed into different categories and different styles. There are more than 1,000 instruments today in the world, and throughout history, many people have tried to classify the different instruments into smaller subcategories. Some have divided the instruments based on their structure, whereas some have divided these instruments based on what materials it is made out of. And in India, during ancient India, between almost 200 BCE to 200 BC, there has been a sage by the name of Bharat Muni, and it is in his book, the Natya Shastra. He had divided the instruments on three broad categories, based on three broad categories, which are the wind instruments, the string instruments, and the percussion instruments. He was the first in the world to divide instruments on these bases, and even today in different parts of the world, this type of categorization is still used. In the exhibition, also we have divided the instruments based on this categorization, and here there is another very interactive and cool screen wherein you learn about the different instruments and how they are played. Having an understanding of these different types of instruments and their categories,
let's move on and understand the first category which I'm going to explain today, which are the string instruments. So string instruments are called as Tatavadya in India, and the word Tata simply means tantu or a string. So how are these instruments played, or how is sound created by these instruments? Is that the string is stretched across and placed at two ends. Okay, so just like how you see in these instruments, the string is stretched, and with the help of your fingers or your nails or a bow, like how it's used in the violin, or any tool, the string is plucked or it's pulled, and the string vibrates and hence creates sound. The string instruments are further, there are two different types of string instruments. One is known as the polychord and the other one is known as the monochord string instruments.
In the world, there are more than 300 different types of instruments that are classified as string instruments. The string instruments vary in size, in their shape, and the number of playing strings used. String instruments are classified into two categories, like I told you. They are monochord and polychord string instruments. So, what's the difference between these two? The monochord string instruments, for example, like the iktara, an entire musical scale or even a melody can be played on just one string. Whereas on the polychord string instruments, for example, like the veena, the sitar, or even the tanpura, one string is assigned to just one note. There are presence in Indian string instrument, there is a presence of sympathetic strings which are played with the normal strings. So what exactly is sympathetic strings? These strings helps to resonate the sound created by the normal strings, so it adds depth in the melody or the tone which is created. Sitar. A sitar is a popular instrument of Persian descent used widely in the Hindustani classical musical compositions. It consists of 18 to 21 strings, out of which 7 are used to play the main or the central notes. The rest of these strings, known as sympathetic strings, lie beneath the frets, and it helps to resonate the sound or the notes played by the main string. The frets on the sitar are movable, which allows for fine tuning. This instrument reached global popularity through the music of Pandit Ravi Shankar in the 1960s and the 1970s. Tanpura. Tanpura, or also well known as the tambura, has been derived from the word tana, referring to a musical phrase, and pura, which means full or complete. It is an instrument which has 4 strings and no frets on its neck. Tanpura is a drone instrument and is played to maintain the shruti during a composition. The 3 notes of sa, pa, and ma of the raga is played on loop to help the performance keep their scale. Tanpuras are of several styles, the best known being the Tanjore style, which is predominantly used by the Carnatic musicians, and Miraj style, which is used by the Hindustani musicians. In modern performances, the Tanpura has been replaced by an electronic equivalent known as the Shruti box.
second set of instruments which we'll study today are the wind instruments. So like you can see in the case, there are different types of wind instruments also available which many people play. And wind instruments are called as Shushir Vadya, and the word Sushir simply means hollow. So if you clearly notice at the structure of these instruments, you'll notice that there is a hollow space inside, and sound is created in these instruments through the air vibrations. So sound is let into the instrument by the player from one end, and from the other end it still is, and they use their fingers in order to control the different types of sounds and notes which they create. In many of the Indian wind instruments, you will see linear holes which are placed on top of the instrument. So if you have a closer look, you will see the Nadaswaram, the Basuri, the flute, all of them have linear holes on top so that a variety of notes can be created.
The wind instruments have had their origin in primitive age and have well developed in the later civilized societies. The wind instruments, like I told you, are termed as Sushir Vadya in Indian classical music, and we find reference to the word Sushir Vadya in many ancient Indian texts. People have found great delight in playing the flute and many other wind instruments from the primitive ages to present age. In India, different types of wind instruments, especially the flutes, are made by bamboo pieces. The wind instruments exhibit great diversity in their structure and also the musical notes which have been played. They have been prominent in music of all cultures since the prehistoric times. Flute. The flute is one of the oldest instruments and appears in almost all cultures of the world. In ancient India, the flute was used for Buddhist ceremonies, and illustrations can be found in the 2nd century BCE Buddhist murals at Ajanta and Ellora, as well as the 1st century BCE sculptures at Sanchi. Known by many names like the Venu, the Vamshi, the Indian flutes has two varieties, the horizontal and the vertical flute. The horizontal is more popular and is used in folk, classical and devotional music. The vertical flute, whereas, has one extra hole as compared to the horizontal one, and this whole extra hole is there to accommodate the entire range of traditional ragas. The flute is played by the musician in such a way whereas he holds the flute horizontally and blows across an oval-shaped hole in the mouthpiece. At the same time, the musician presses levers or holes on the flute which are called as keys. When the keys are depressed and released, that is opened and closed with their fingers, it produced different notes. Though similar in construction, flutes across the world vary in the way they are played and in the tones they produce. Nadaswaram. The Nadaswaram is a wind instrument made out of wood and metal that is found in both classical and folk traditions in South India. The name it got is from the word nada, or meaning pleasant sound, and swaram, which means note, a musical note. This instrument is among the world's loudest non-brass acoustic instruments. It is a wind instrument, partially similar to the North Indian shehnai, but a much longer instrument with a hardwood body and a large flaring bell made out of wood or metal. The Nadaswaram has a long tube with 7 finger holes. The part of the Nadaswaram are said to have different religious significance. The breath control needed to play the Nadaswaram makes it a tough instrument to master and play. The third set or category of instruments which I'll tell you about today are the percussion instruments. A percussion instrument is any object which produces a sound by being hit with an implement or by an action which sets the object into vibration. These kind of instruments are the earliest ones to be developed. Initially, pods of seeds were rattled, or stones, rocks, and sticks were collided, or like big stones were hit with sticks in order to produce sound. Percussion instruments are further classified into two types, which are membranophones and idiophones. Membranophone instruments. Membranophones are referred to as Avanadha Vadya in Indian classical music. The word Avanadha simply means to be covered. These instruments consist of a wooden cylindrical frame that forms the central part of the body, which is covered with a stretched membrane on one side or on both the sides. These membranes are then struck in order to produce the desired sound. Avanadha Vadya consists of a variety of drums that are played to maintain rhythm and time in a musical or dance performance, like the tabla, the ghatam, mridangam, dholak, damru, kanjira, etc. Tabla. The term tabla is derived from the Arabic word tabal, which means drum. The percussion instrument is most commonly used in North Indian classical music. The tabla has been a prominent percussion instrument used in the varied genres of Hindustani classical music since the 18th century. The tabla consists of two drums of slightly different sizes and shapes. The smaller drum is called as a tabla and the larger drum is called as a dagga. Each of the drum is made of hollowed out wood, clay or metal and of some animal skin, which is used as a membrane to cover the hollowed out instrument. The tabla is used as both as a solo and an accompanying instrument. There are varied styles of playing the tabla. The black patch which you see in middle of both these drums are known as syahi. It is a natural paste made out of iron fillings and applied to balance the tonal qualities and maintain the clarity of pitch. Mridangam. The mridangam is a classical Carnatic instrument originally made out of clay. Today, the body of the mridangam is made out of jackfruit wood, and the membranes on both its sides are made out of goat skin. The membrane on one side of the mridangam is larger as compared to the membrane on the other side. An identical instrument known as pakhavaj is used in the Hindustani music. The mridangam was played during battles because of its loud and powerful sound, and it was believed to scare the enemies and protect the king from the arrows of the enemies. Rubber gum was applied to the membranes of the instrument in order to increase its bass. It is used as an accompaniment to Bharatanatyam and other forms of dance. The second subtype of the percussion instruments are known as idiophones. Idiophones are known as ghana vadyas in classical music. The word ghana means solid, meaning that the entire body of the instrument resonates to produce sound and not only one particular part. So all the instruments which you saw about just now, a specific part of the instrument used to create the sound. But in the idiophone instruments, the entire body of the instrument creates the sound. Ghanavadyas are not capable of producing definite pitches that are required for creating a melody. Hence, they are mainly used to maintain rhythm in a musical piece. Earlier, clapping hands maintained the rhythm, after which common objects such as sticks, clappers, and rods were used. Now, idiophones such as manjira and chipli are often used during religious chanting and to accompany dance pieces. Ghungru. Ghungrus are considered as a type of an idiophone instrument. They are a pair of anklets worn by dancers of classical Indian traditions such as Bharatnatyam, Kathak, Kuchipudi, etc. They contain rows of bells on a cloth that are worn to emphasize the rhythmic aspects of the dance and to accentuate the complex leg movements of the dancers. The number of bells vary from 100 to 200 on each foot, depending on the age and the level of expertise of the dancer. Morsing. Morsing is a very interesting idiophone instrument to study about. It is commonly used in Carnatic music, Rajasthan and Assamese folk songs, and also in Sindh in Pakistan. It is played by keeping the stem inside the mouth of a player, and the bent end, known as the trigger, is plucked with the index finger. The instrument makes a sound by using the mouth and the nasal cavity of the instrument as a resonator to amplify the sound. It is used as an accompaniment to mridangam and dhol. It is popularly known as a Jew's harp, modification of the term jaw harp. Variations of the mridangam have been found in Russia, China, France, Germany, etc., and may have spread to these different countries via the Silk routes between Asia and Europe. Well, curating this exhibition was quite a unique experience for all of us, and I have to agree that it was not an easy task. But we were ably supported by the National Centre for Performing Arts, better known as NCPA Mumbai, and the Indian Music Experience Bangalore. NCPA helped us a lot in the curation of the entire exhibition, and the very cool interactives which you see are given to us by the Indian Music Experience. I hope that you all learnt a lot about the musical world and about sound as a larger phenomena and had a great time during the walkthrough.
The world is full of ideas that have been left behind to inspire future generations. Across centuries, some of these ideas have been carefully preserved in our museums. The Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya in Mumbai, or the CSMVS, is an encyclopedic museum full of brilliant ideas and collections of Indian and world histories. When was the last time you visited a museum? What if the museum could come to you? Museum on Wheels. Founded in 2015, the unique City CSMVS Museum on Wheels project is a pioneering outreach initiative designed to reach audiences beyond the walls of the museum into the far-reaching parts of suburban Mumbai and further into the interiors of the state of Maharashtra. Since its launch in October 2015, the initiative has reached over 850,000 children across Mumbai and particularly in the remote areas of Maharashtra. The bus has reached 15 districts in Maharashtra and has run 37,000 kilometers in 1,310 days, covering more than 330 venues with 6 exhibitions on varied subjects, spreading knowledge and smiles.
I am very excited!
So whenever a bus is visiting a specific school, so generally we have the orientation first, wherein we explain the kids what the Museum on Wheels is and what the current exhibition is about.
I am going in a bus to see a museum and I am very excited for that. After every fossil that we saw, there was a very detailed writing in which we got to know about many new things. It was fantastic.
I had no idea that there used to be dinosaurs in India, but after I went inside I found out that there were actually 25 different types of dinosaurs which were available in India.
मुझे ये अच्छा लगा कि वो टी-रेक्स का फॉसिल बहुत बड़ा था, मैंने देखा नहीं इतना बड़ा.
एक्झिबिशन म्हणजे मनोरंजनातून लोकशिक्षण.
आम्ही लेक्चरद्वारे या गोष्टी देतो, परंतु प्रत्यक्ष तुम्ही अनुभवाद्वारे इथं ते शिक्षण पद्धती ही देणार आहात किंवा तुम्ही दाखवणार आहात, याबद्दल खरंच कौतुक करण्यासारखं आहे.
फक्त ज्ञानच नाही, पॅलेओन्टोलॉजिस्ट तर करिअरचा ऑप्शन म्हणून सुद्धा याचा विचार आज मुलं करतील असं मला वाटतं.
My favorite thing in the museum was dinosaur egg and the dinosaur's skeleton because it was looking very awesome.
I saw a jellyfish which was in the water and it was really shiny. It was really awesome.
As now we are in higher grades, our studies are more, so we don't get the time to visit anywhere. But thanks to Museum on Wheels, we can enjoy.
Just bring the museum to the school, that's a fantastic idea.
चालते फिरते म्यूजियम बघून खूप आनंद झाला आहे और अंदर जो इतना कूल एक्सपीरियंस किया. मैं और एक बार ऐसा आपके छत्रपती शिवाजी म्युझियम में जाऊंगा, देखूंगा. आम्हाला मुंबईला जायला इतकं काही भेटणार नव्हतं, पण आम्हाला इथेच भेटलं, त्याबद्दल मी त्यांचे आभारी आहे.
If we can't take our children to the museum is here with us today.
We learned so much from it.
We love the museum.
I hope we can see it again.
The Museum on Wheels hopes to further its reach and has added a second bus to its fleet, aiming to travel beyond Maharashtra and reach over 1 million people. Here's to many more destinations and even more passengers aboard. The City CSMVS Museum on Wheels. Now you can have the City CSMVS Museum on Wheels visit your institution. For more details, email us mow@csmvs.in.